Now 10 o'clock, we do have a quorum. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We have Pastor Parker Hartzog here to give us some guidance from above, if you would, please. And let's rise, and then I'll say the pledges afterwards. I think it's my turn. Go right ahead, sir.
Father, we as Cooke County come to you this morning and ask your guidance and wisdom in all adjudications today. We ask for your presence to be with us throughout the day, giving us solutions, peace, and teaching us. Holy Spirit, we ask that you would heal and unify our community in Gainesville, Cooke County, and all the towns represented here today. Jesus, we ask that you would inspire us to love the least of these, the last in line, the stranger. Give us rest and fulfillment as we build families, businesses, and the communities that we believe in. And finally, teach us how to walk as a brother and sister to one another. Jesus, in you we trust, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. You're welcome to stay as long as you'd like to. And if you will, please join me in the pledges. First, the American flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. The next item on the agenda is public comments on agenda items, and we will hold that until we get to that item on the agenda, if you will. I'll just call you up to the podium, and you can speak when we get there. Item number 6 is the consent agenda, and the consent agenda includes non-controversial and routine items that the court may act on with one single vote. The judge or a commissioner may pull any item from the consent agenda in order that the court discuss and act upon it individually as part of the regular agenda.
I'd like to pull H.
Commissioner Art would like to pull item number H, which is to deliberate and consider possible action regarding mutual aid agreement with Lindsay Volunteer Fire Department. We'll discuss that as soon as we make a decision on the rest of the consent agenda.
If everybody else is good, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda less item H.
Commissioner Snuggs makes the motion that we approve the consent agenda less item H. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I heard Commissioner Hollowell first. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. The consent agenda, with the exception of item H, passes 5-0. Now then, item H, would you?
The only reason is I'm the chief and I need to abstain from that and let the court make that decision without me.
I make a motion that we approve item H from the consent agenda.
Motion to approve item H with the exception of Commissioner Arndt is made by Commissioner Snuggs. Do I hear a second? Second, Commissioner Sicking. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And there are none.
One abstention.
Say again?
One.
One abstention, I'm sorry, which would be Commissioner Arndt. Item number 7, the one that we're probably mostly here for. Item number 7 is to open a public hearing regarding the request by, I'm going to do my best here, Nadia Viramakhanini. Okay, thank you very much. You can repeat it again here in just a little bit. for a special use permit for a bed and breakfast at 23750 Alexander Road. And that public hearing will open at 10:06.
You want to speak first, Gary, maybe? What do you think?
Who wants to speak first of all?
We've got the representative from the,
We'll just kind of take it from the left to the right then, or if that's, unless you have worked out some kind of sequence. One of y'all, please come up to the mic and please identify yourself, and you can sign in on that sheet right there if it's.
All right. Good morning.
Before you get started, one other thing, let's limit our comments to just as brief as possible too, so we don't.
Understood, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not a problem. Okay, good morning. Thank you very much for having us here. My name is Andrew Blicken. I'm an immediate neighbor to this property on Alexander Road. So is our ranch, so is our family. Our enjoyment of that land is predicated on it being in the country. We moved to Cooke County because we like being in the country. Any deviation from that, especially with commercial purposes out at the end of our dirt road, is going to disturb that dramatically. Obviously, the Army Corps of Engineers is very sensitive to that because of their insistence on septic permits here. I think that the county should be very sensitive to it as well. The continued good ag use of our land, the continued good residential space for our land, and not overburdening the area near the lake. Again, Andrew Blicken, owner of 3 Andrews Ranch at the end of Alexander Road, immediate neighbor to this, and we strenuously object to this variance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Who would?
Hello, I'm Lisa Wilcox. I'm also, I live at the same property, 23501 Alexander Road. And also, it's extremely important for us to preserve the agriculturalness of the property and to not allow just random people then to live there or be randomly in the area, because it's a safe place right now, as my husband also stated, and that it doesn't, to have additional people there that are not living there permanently would really affect the properties, I think, there at this time, so, and not make them as safe. I represent Warren Blicken, and he is the father of Andrew Blicken.
Okay, and did you sign in on that sheet?
I am right now,
Okay,
sorry.
thank you very much.
I apologize.
Gary?
I would like to be here if the court had questions on the discussion that took place.
I'll wait till we get to the actual agenda item to hear from the P and Z.
Okay, sounds good. Who would be next then? Please say your name and sign in, if you would, please.
Of course, my name is Nabia Virmachineni. One moment, it's going to take me a second to sign in. Okay.
Almost got it right.
Yes, very close. It's exactly the way it looks. So my immediate neighbors are actually Corey and Carlo. They both signed off, and they said they are very okay with the bed and breakfast. In terms of agriculture and everything, I'm putting in a bee farm. I do love agriculture and nature, so nothing on the property will be damaged. I did speak with the Corps of Engineers through Eli Dragon, who's building the community down the road with the 300 houses and so. So I did get in touch, and they said as long as nothing in the Corps of Engineers land is touched or removed or, I guess, made for the worse. They're very much okay with it. The place that I am building is towards the back of the property, so it does not interfere with the Corps of Engineers land at all. Also, in terms of like the neighbors and everything, it is my primary residence, so I will be there keeping watch. I'm not, disappearing or anything. And then it's like it's a pretty building, so it's made to improve the landscape of the structure and the environment that it's on. In terms of safety, I don't think it's going to be an unsafe usage or anything. As I said, it is my primary residence as well. I currently don't have a primary residence, so this is somewhere that I'd want to move to and live in. So of course it would be to the betterment of my safety to make sure that everything was good as well. And then in terms of septic and water, I did get approvals for those that the water, I forgot their name, but they said that they could put a well. It's not going to be a problem. It's going to be about 900 feet deep. So I did talk to them about that, and then same for the septic and everything too, how it would be organized and clean. So yes. That was it. Thanks everyone.
Thank you very much. You did sign the sheet? Okay, thank you very much. And who would be next then? Anybody on the back row, or? I think you're next then, ma'am. You would?
Good morning. My name is Bonnie Parker. I am pretty much diagonally across the road from this property. I am not against the construction of a residence, but what I am against is the intended use of this residence. And what I wanted to show the court is I printed out Ray Roberts Planning and Zoning, and the area, it's a teeny peninsula way down here with very limited access. One lane road, no shoulder, one way in, one way out. So that's a concern, traffic, etc. My other concerns are also printed out all the properties. And I can give this to the court. It has lists of all the lots and who owns them. The neighbor that the owner addressed her property is here. And the neighbor's property is here. That she said there's still a property in between the lots. So this is owned by another entity. Her property is owned by an entity, and this is all owned by an entity. That's the fact that's kind of giving us pause of this one-time allowance of a special use permit. Who knows what will happen to those other properties? And it's always been zoned agricultural and residence, and having that change the area with traffic. There's another fact is the fire hydrant is literally a mile down the road.
Yeah.
That's a big issue. I tried to find the the minutes from the meeting at Lake Ray Roberts Planning and Zoning, because the one, I think it was the mayor of Valley View, he stressed the fire safety, like the access and all those other issues for the property and the neighbors in the neighborhood. And the other fact that, let me make sure I addressed all the facts because I know I have limited time. Obviously, there's no city water, there's no sewers. It's a large structure, not a problem, but with multiple people and multiple use, it could be a big problem. We don't know what the use is really going to turn into. It says bed and breakfast, but if it could possibly be a larger venue, where are they going to park? Water usage, noise, are there going to be parties going on till late at night? There's livestock in the area, horses, cattle. That causes me concern. Fireworks, etc. So all of those issues. And the final fact is, this was purchased as an investment property under the entity Jasmine Gardens registered to Navia Verashanini, located at 12455 Nandina Lane in Frisco, which is owned by Devin and Padma Verashanini, her parents. So I see that as somewhat something that the court needs to understand. I think that's it. I wish I had the minutes from the Lake Ray Roberts thing, but I couldn't get that.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it. Did you want to speak?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
Should I give copies of any of this? No?
I don't know. Go right ahead.
How y'all doing? My name's Don Dean. I'm a landowner for many years on Alexander Road. I actually sold Navia her property. I pretty much own the whole east side, or west, out there on Alexander. And, all we're trying to do is, but everything's coming to pot point. We got 300 something houses. When I first moved out there was 10 houses on that road. There's about 20 now. The growth is coming. We're just trying to deal with it and make a beautiful home. That's where I live. I live 2 properties down. Her neighbor, what started this, me splitting that property, is a friend of mine, but yes, he does own a business, so he bought it. That's his retirement. Eventually, he's gonna move out there. We're gonna build a barn door for him, and then he's gonna build a house in a year down the road. The other neighbor to that is another life person that wants to live out there. That sign that they're okay with it, same side of the road. We plan on dying out there, So we just kind of want to control the growth a little bit and not have a lot. I don't know if, as far as everybody's legal, if you've seen people come up here and have residential, properties that don't have residential properties, like the Parkers. I helped with their property sale. I explained to them what we're doing across the road, dividing it up, putting houses. We moved from Frisco. I think it's a skin color issue with her. That's what she told me, not to sell it to Indians. So I'm just saying that, and that's the biggest problem with me is when we're building a nice community, and then we have problems when we're just trying to develop a nice community. And she lives with her parents now. That's the address that she lives at. Her business buys this property. I mean, if I had a business that could, sponsor my house and start my setup, I would have done that too. But I've sold off all that property to turn it into a house so people can live, not for whatever, fireworks. And I have all the cows on that side of the road. I run cows on Navia's. I run cows on Carlos. I run cows on Corey's. Everybody that signs that property, I have cows that run all the way down that road. I used to own the house at the very end of the road. I'm not trying to, push this place commercial, so I have to deal with everybody driving by my house to get to this property. So I have, a large property, new house. Do I want to bring a bunch of bad people to my house? No. So I'm willing to, help. I'm up here, just because it's America, right? I mean, you buy a property, you want to build a house on it. It's bigger than the house I thought she was going to build, but I didn't want the 300 something houses at the end of my road going in. If you don't like it, move. That's the way it's working. I wanted to live. I lived there for 30 years. I lived on Alexander for 15. Who else here has lived there for 15 years? Those people live at their dad's place. They moved from out of state. These people moved from out of state. I've been there for 30 years. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Who would be? Go right ahead.
Good morning. My name is Ben Parker, and I live catty corner.
Say, would you repeat your name, please?
Ben Parker.
Okay.
So I don't know where Mr. Dean got his facts, but I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, and then I moved to Arlington, Texas as a little boy. I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with this issue that we're talking about, where you're from or whatever, but also just to rebut the 300 house subdivision that's going in down the road. Down the road's Denton County. Alexander Road is part Denton County and then part Cooke County. So also the 300 house subdivision is going to be on Pilot Point City Water and has Pilot Point Sewer. So that, I mean, the subdivision is way down the road, back by that fire hydrant. So it's like a mile and a half. So the closest fire hydrant's like a mile and a half down the road. What I really wanted to speak about is from the zoning and planning meeting that took place, and the one gentleman on the panel was very adamant that there was a safety issue with the road because that's that small country road, and it won't support the emergency services if there was an incident at that property. The road's one way in and one way out. Also, there was the gentleman on the planning and zoning. He also spoke against the light and noise pollution that's increased, because if it's going to be a larger structure and everything, it's going to need additional lights. And then noise pollution. I mean, if you start having events out there, I mean, that's going to be increased noise. I mean, you just can't get around that. We're not against the residence itself, but we're against the special use permit. So at the zoning commission, you guys changed the zoning to residential. Okay, that's fine. We're with that. But don't allow the special. Please don't allow the special use permit. I mean, there was just. I mean, from that zoning meeting, there was just so many issues, and it did not pass. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Was there anybody else before?
There's one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Hello, my name is Fisher Dean. Let me just write my information. Okay, my name is Fisher Dean. I also live down Alexander Road. I live in like 2 or 3 houses down from where this property is coming in at. I was going to touch kind of like a base on like what type of road this is. It is a country road, but there's 20 houses maybe. They're popping up, every couple of years. But there isn't, like this property isn't crazy to what the properties that are already existing, like already built there. There's 2 large properties that are pretty like this one that she is building. So this isn't crazy. This isn't anything out of the ordinary. There's, 3,000, 3,500 square foot houses, 10,000 square foot houses, all down this road, right next to where this is coming in at. And then the water issue is that there is big houses out there already. They were able to build, so it's kind of hard to stop this one from building when, there's multiple other properties out there. And then they can also put like a water pump, if we need to with the water issues. But I think that's really it. All I
Thank
can
you.
say.
Thank you.
You can close the public hearing.
Okay. And is that everybody that wanted to speak? Just make sure. Okay. Item number 8 is to close the public hearing, and we'll do so at 10:25, Pam. Item number 9, deliberate and consider possible action regarding the request by Navia Veramachinini, I think,
Nadia works.
Jasmine Garden LLC for a special use permit for a bed and breakfast located at 23,750 Alexander Road, Pilot Point. Commissioner Snuggs.
Okay, so to give everybody in the room a little clearance and, or info on the thing and give court some info, and I'm just gonna say Nadia, because I can't say her last name, but, so Nadia came in wanting to do a bed and breakfast and a microphone picked up really well that time. Wanting to do a bed and breakfast and a small event center. And in the meeting with the chairman of the P&Z and myself, Gary Yost, we told her that with the size of the lot, it had to be residential, and event centers are not allowed on residential properties, but the bed and breakfasts are. So sent it down to P&Z for the special use permit, but it got a little mixed up. Some of her first part of her application went thinking that it was going to be an event center, but I was real clear that event centers are not allowed. And Gary, would you like to come up here? We can talk about the meeting. And unfortunately, it was a small meeting that night. We didn't have a full board, just 4 people. And I believe this one went 2-2. Was that correct?
Yes.
What was the other one that went 3?
3-1.
3-1. What was that one?
That's on rezoning from ag. to
Okay, on the
residential.
rezoning issue on this matter. Okay. And then on the actual special use permit, it went 2-2, which, you know, presents a little bit of an issue, but can you tell us about how that went and what the holdups were?
Yeah, there were 2 issues in front of the P&Z Commission that evening. One was rezoning. It's currently zoned agriculture, excuse me, as most of the property out there is. This is a 6-acre tract, which is below the minimum for agriculture. There are other 6-acre tracts in the vicinity and along that road, so the compatibility issue was not there. So, and so the Commission looked at that, and it was a 3-1 vote to recommend approval of the rezoning request. So the SUP, as Jason said, I think there was a little confusion on the intended use of the property. It's specifically for a bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfasts are owner occupied with extra rooms that can be rent out, you know, as part of that residence. This, my understanding is, as Nadia said, it's a 5-bedroom house. She'll be the occupant of the house. So it fits what a bed and breakfast definition is in the P&Z. There were some concerns about safety. There were some, I guess, some suggestions that it would be more of an event center than a bed and breakfast, but it was, again, when Jason and I met, it was specifically stated it's a bed and breakfast use only. And that's what was voted on. Again, the vote was 2-2. Fortunately, we didn't have everybody there that week, so it was tied, and at that point, we decided to just send it forward to y'all to, with actually no recommendation on the SUP, but just to clarify that we were, it does meet the SUP definition in the ordinance. So, any other questions?
I think that's great. I appreciate you being here.
You bet. Thank you.
So I do want to address some of the other issues and concerns that the opposition brings up, because I don't want anybody to feel like we do anything where we're ignoring concerns. But the Lake Ray Roberts zoning is just that. It's zoning to help reduce the population. It's not to block things out. It's not to tell people what they can do with their land. It is simply basically the main thing is to limit the overpopulation of it. And it does that with our 2.5 acre minimum. The 2.5 acre minimum is what has saved a road like Alexander from turning into a subdivision and becoming overpopulated, because the developers know that it's hard to come in and chop them up into 2.5 acres and make it profitable. So that has turned it into 6 acres and 10 acres and 20 acres, whatever people own on that land. You know, the road, all of our roads that are in the P&Z are all small rural roads, you know, so I can't make a decision based on that. Fire trucks and ambulances travel these small rural roads every day. That's all that we take care of in our realm. You know, the lights, you know, that's a concern with certain things, but we don't even have the power to make any rules based on the lights. You know, we make recommendations at the zoning so that people don't have the uplighting that take away from the landscape. But these are not things that we can, you know, lack of a better word, control through zoning. They're just not an issue. And, you know, in the fireworks, I understand there's a concern for fireworks and fire, but you're out in the country, you can shoot fireworks anytime you want. You can't stop your neighbors from shooting fireworks, and that's definitely something that you don't want the government coming in and telling you can't do either. Unless there's a burn ban, neighbors can shoot fireworks. The fire hydrant, there are no fire hydrants out in the county. There might be one here or there. They're mainly flush valves. None of them have pressure to fight house fires. That's just part of rural living. So those things are not anything in our control and have nothing to do with zoning. I didn't want anybody to feel like I don't care about those things. That's just country living. That's not anything that we can take care of as Commissioners Court. Trying to make sure I made notes on everything. This is a rare situation that we had a tie down there, and it's frustrating when that happens, but it does fit. This is something that is allowed, and I am going to make a motion that we approve it, but my motion will say that it is an owner-occupied bed and breakfast. It doesn't turn into a hotel, and that it is not an event center. So, because these things are allowed in our regulations, this is not something that we can stop. And I don't see any safety concerns for the residents on this. I mean, you get more people shopping for houses, driving around, hitting the wrong way, the one-way street, than what this bed and breakfast will do. You want me to state that motion again?
May I just make a statement?
No.
Well,
From the planning and zoning meeting, both the yes votes are attendance today, the no votes are not attending this meeting, and with short notice, we weren't able to notify them.
I don't. No, I just have the chairman here. I do have a board member here, but he wasn't at that meeting. He just comes to all of
He
these.
voted yes and you voted yes.
And who voted?
You voted yes and he voted yes.
I'm not on the board. I wasn't even there.
He wasn't there. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah. I stay away from the meetings so that
Okay.
people can do their thing and it doesn't feel like I'm there to be involved in it. Okay. Okay. He's a very long-term member. He's been on there a long time. So.
Sorry, what'd you say again?
Mayor Ortega.
Oh, okay.
What'd you say?
You kind of resemble the guy.
Oh, is that another handsome guy out there?
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Did you have something else you want to say?
Yes, sir, I'd like to make one statement. I understand what you're saying about zoning and, you know, we may not have an advantageous position in that argument, but I do think we have an advantageous position on procedures. According to my understanding of section 211.006 of the Texas Local Government Code, because we submitted a formal written objection to this proceeding, it no longer can pass with 51%. It requires a supermajority in order to pass. So I would like to stand on that part of the procedure.
We might need a county attorney. The only time that there's a supermajority on something like this is if they were denied at the P&Z, and we have to have supermajority to do that. But this is just a normal proceeding with no recommendation.
No, it did not pass P&Z.
Yeah.
It did not pass.
Right, it was a tie, sent up with no recommendation. And they're advisory. They're not a decision-making body, so we're the decision-making body. I don't want to mess up on that deal, but
Well, if the decision on that level is bound by this section 211.006, then this decision would equally be bound by that.
okay. Well,
So you're saying we have to have a supermajority?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You got a motion?
do you need me to repeat
Say
my
the
motion?
Yeah.
My motion is that we approve the special use permit for an owner-occupied bed and breakfast with no event center.
Okay, no, it's,
But you're saying that the P and Z has to have a supermajority.
It's in our
Yes,
part.
sir. This authorization requires a supermajority, either from the PNC or
Right.
The P and Z is the advisory board, we have no authority at all. So we can make recommendations, but we have no authority, is that correct?
That's correct.
This is the board that will.
Yeah, they're not a
the
decision-making board.
Decision-making board right here. So it's usually sent to us. In fact, we could act on one that didn't pass P and Z as far as that goes, but,
Yeah, the only time
so-
that we have to have we are required for supermajority is if it's an appeal by a denied party. Because if there is a 100% denial, it's not going to be sent up.
But we could overrule it. Had they denied it, we could overrule it, the way I understand it.
Right.
But you're saying it has to be a supermajority. That's what I was confirming.
Okay, well, I've got a motion on the floor.
okay, would you like to repeat your motion?
I already repeated it for her.
You already did.
Second.
We have a second, Commissioner Sicking. Any further discussion on the matter? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? There are none. Motion passes 5-0. Pam? Thank you.
Who called the dog to?
What? What's that, Will? Okay, any questions, any further? Okay, motion passed 5-0. Item number 10, deliberate and consider possible action regarding allowing the sheriff's law enforcement personnel to purchase body armor when separating from the department.
Good morning, gentlemen. Just brief, I'll just give you a little information. I think Shelley's going to do some further checking, but the body armor that these officers wear today are custom fit and custom measured. So we oftentimes end up with a deputy that leaves, goes somewhere else, and then we're stuck with a $1,500 vest that doesn't do us any good. I mean, it won't fit anybody else. And so we'd like to check in to see if we can't allow that officer, when they do leave, to purchase that vest. We would do it on a prorated fee, so typically 5 years of what a vest is good for, so $1,500 divided by 5 years, 60 months. So if they stayed a year and they still had 48 months left on the use of that vest, we'd settle to them for whatever that figure was. If we can do it, I recommend we do it to recoup some of that money.
Does that throw any liability on us?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't think so, but, I mean, in one way, we sold a bunch of guns a couple of years ago to a company, a bunch of used guns. We have any liability there? So, I mean, again, we're not gonna force the officer to purchase it, but, and what brought it up, so a deputy left and, a female deputy, and she left and went to St. Joe, and then she texted and said, hey, can I purchase my vest? Well, we'll see, I don't know, but it takes 8 to 10 weeks typically to get, a vest in. But like I said, we're going to end up with a stack of $1,500 vests that.
I mean, just make sure, you said one thing, they're custom fit vests, right? So if that person can't use them anymore, they essentially are just useless.
Well, pretty much,
Unless you just
unless we can.
Get lucky and get
You
somebody.
get lucky and you get someone similar in size.
Okay.
There again, I wouldn't want to force someone to purchase it, but if they would like to, I just think it saves the county some money and.
I mean, sounds good to me. if something happened down the road that didn't
Yeah. I
function,
think,
you know, how
I
it
think,
works out.
I think we could incorporate some wording, so to speak, a release of liability if they chose to purchase it and sign that release of liability. We could certainly make something like that happen. Just an idea and a thought. We're gonna be talking about budget tomorrow at 2:30, so we'll
Oh,
just,
you hadn't heard?
oh, Chelsea, I've heard from Chelsea, so.
Oh, okay, about your,
But anyway, so we're facing 6 vacancies right now. I had an officer leave over the weekend. So it's a lot of
Say-
vests
say that-
laying around
Say that again?
6 vacancies, one left over the weekend.
Wow.
in patrol, so that's a shift and a half.
Yeah.
That's short, so. Anyway, that's all I have. Everything else I have is in consent, so.
I would make a motion that we.
I don't know that,
It's not a motion thing, it's just talking
Right.
about it.
We got,
Okay.
yeah, just discussing.
I like the idea. I mean,
So far, I haven't found anything that allows us to sell county assets to employees unless they honorably retire.
yeah, and that's why I said, Shelley brought up, you know, hey, listen, so I'm gonna check around and see if there's some other sheriff's departments around the state. There was another sheriff in an east part of Texas that sent out an email asking that very question, hey, do you guys have something in policy allowing this? Because we're facing, sheriffs are facing that all over Texas and rural Texas anyway. So if I find some other counties that are allowing that, then I'll come back and ask
I
you to.
didn't catch that part.
okay.
Yeah, there's no action today.
Okay.
Take
All
care,
right,
thank
then,
you.
Item number 10 is no action, which brings us to item number 11, which is executive session in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Codes Annotated, consultation with county returning. I don't believe we have anything at this time for the county attorney, but we do need to go into executive session. And let me think, we need Ray, stay here if you would. Matt, out of executive session at 11:25. Deliberate and consider possible action regarding the consultation with attorney regarding proposed actions and advice to the court, real property, contract, and being negotiated or any personnel matters is item number 12. And there is no action on that particular item, which brings us to item 13. Who would like to do the honors?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner Snuggs.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Arndt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There are none. We are adjourned at 11:26.